Hello and welcome. NVIDIA has released a new NVIDIA App, which will supersede the old GeForce experience, as well as the NVIDIA control panel, which was now starting to look quite dated. Now, this is going to bring a fresh new experience and combine both of those feature sets into one application. And of course, the best feature of this application is going to be that you no longer need to log in order to use some of the game capture and the screenshots and other performance analysis tools. Once you get this application installed, you'll be fired up into the launch screen here. Once you initially launch the application, the first thing it will ask you is which driver you want to use. It's great to be able to see that right up in front and center, whether you're going to use the gaming drivers or the studio drivers, which are tuned more for creators and for creative workloads. So it's nice to be able to see that. Once you get that option here and you've made a selection, you can click next. The next option you'll see is the ability to enable the app analysis, which will actually search for your games installed on your device, and the NVIDIA overlay, which is how you'll get the in-game access to the tools such as game capture and all the other stuff. We'll talk about that here in a moment. So once you launch the home app, beautiful, nice, clean interface, just 4 or 5 tabs here: home, drivers, graphics, redeem, and settings. And of course, once you land at home, it will actually scan all of the apps and the other games that are installed on your machine and throw them into the library there. When there are rewards available, and currently they're running a Call of Duty skin reward that you can pick up as a download token when you download this application. So if you feel like you want to get that, go ahead and grab it before it's gone. The other beautiful thing about this is when you go over to the graphics and pick one of your games, you're going to get extremely detailed information about all of the in-game graphics settings at a glance. I know if you head over to settings, you'll get lots of information about what particularly is running, all the different versions, as well as NVIDIA overlay and all of the other things which can be turned on and off, such as scanning your games. You can always click scan now and it will go and find all of your games that are installed on your PC. And of course, you can turn on game filters and photo mode and all these other little quirks that you could play with. Of course, keep in mind the NVIDIA control panel is still around in the background, but you no longer need to worry about that. And you have here some global settings for your graphics. So if you want to enable, for example, low latency mode across your device, you can enable that here. And additionally, now they've added these very nice descriptions in application. This is fantastic for those of you who don't know what the hundreds of settings in some of the games can mean. So be able to get this information quickly and at a glance really helps you make an informed decision as to what you need to turn on and off for your particular NVIDIA usage experience. Very nice to see that here. And of course, all of these things can be enabled globally, or you can also tune them per game here. And there's lots of information about each specific feature set of the drivers that we had before, but we really didn't know what they were. Or the NVIDIA control panel made it really hard to read because we had these teeny tiny fonts. It didn't really scale up to higher resolutions, particularly with 4K or higher scaling screens, which made it really difficult to use. But if we go over here to OBS Studio, for example, under graphics settings, we can see there's tons of stuff here we can configure at an application level. And as I mentioned, if you go into the game level, you can see all of the game specific settings at a glance here. Lovely to see, particularly for games such as Red Dead Redemption 2. And of course, you do have a slider at the top there, which you can use to kind of adjust where you want that quality to tweak. If you want to focus, 100% on quality, or if you want to be somewhere in the middle for the balance. Now, we'll hop over into Borderlands 3 here and show you that overlay. So Alt-Z will bring over the overlay. And this will allow you to do things such as record, set your instant replay, and of course, all of your performance monitoring statistics, which are now built in and much, much more usable than the old version that we had. The old one was tacky, was very small, hard to read on high-res screens, and it just wasn't very useful. So now we have a lot more metrics here, which are actually focusing on the critical stuff. What is still missing here is the GPU power. We'd love to be able to see that here at a glance. But we do have all of the essentials. We have FPS, we have GPU, and of course you can go into the heads-up display here and configure this to your heart's content and see specifically the figures that you're after while you're gaming. There is a gallery here where all of your captured clips can be visible right from within the overlay, which is really nice to see now. Prior, you had to go into your videos folder and find out there. And the most important and exciting thing for me is that the record is now absolutely polished. Prior, if you were to capture a game, sometimes you'd get starts or stops, or you'd get a crash while it was launching initially for the first time, for example. So now that we don't have that, it's lovely to see. And of course, if you want to play with the games a little bit and give it a little bit of an aesthetic feel, you've got all of these different filters that you can apply to your games, and it will start to render with those filters applied. You can also turn the microphone on and off, or push to talk if you like to do your in-game chat. So that means you have a lot of different options here. And if we go over to the shortcut controls, heads up displays, there's lots of stuff that you can configure here, particularly for your recording settings. If you like to use these to capture your games, shadow play is now much, much better. Well, first of all, that term has been removed, but your video capture and recording can go all the way up to 120 FPS, and you can go all the way up to 120 megabits per second, from what I understand. So that's the highest rate that you can go here, or it might be a little bit higher, excuse me. But that said, you can record up to 20 minutes of instant capture, so you can use that for highlights and stuff, particularly when you get those nice, interesting shots within the game. Nice to really be able to go back and work through that. You can adjust the system sound levels. You can also see the free space that you have left for your captures and also your screenshots from within the game. And of course, you have a handy-dandy list here of all of the different keyboard shortcuts, so you can work like a pro and game like one as well. That said, here, I think this is a great first effort. It looks absolutely fantastic, exciting to see, and I'll be looking forward to the NVIDIA app when it finally releases in a full version.